on to step number 5. Gone ahead and got all of our pieces and parts out, and one thing to take note on here is that for your piece 80072-1, make sure that for the front axle you are using -1. We're going to show you how to do the front axle, and then the rear actually works exactly the same, except for on the rear it uses -2. It's the same part, it's just opposite. So we're going to do the front one on video, and then spare you the time for us to do the same exact steps on step number 6, so we'll do that one off film. Okay, let's go ahead and grab our assembly. This little unit is going to slide right on the top. This hole right here matches up with the hole in the top of the axle, and another hole matches up here. We are going to use 2 of the smaller coarse threaded bevels to hold this on from the top. I'm going to go ahead and put one in here. And you don't want to put them in too tight or you're going to strip them out. And the second screw is going to go in here. And then the third coarse screw is going to go in from, as we hold this with the output shaft here, this screw is going to go in from the back side. So we'll flip this around. And it's a long one. And screw that little puppy all the way in. Pretty simple step. Next we're going to mount our shock mounts. Do need to take note on the direction that they do go on. Excuse me. Okay. Next we're going to go ahead and mount our shock mounts on, and you do want to take note of the direction. We're going to set this back down the same as the orientation is in the manual, and grab one of the shock mounts, and you're going to see that they're slanted and they're a little bit taller on one side than they are the other. Actually, that is the top. So as we hold this in the proper direction, they're going to mount into these 2 holes here, and we want the taller portion towards the top, just as you see right here. Now to put these on, we are going to take these little nuts that are in there, and we're going to drop them down inside. See if we can gracefully do this inside the part and push them in. There's little hexes down in there. Let's see if they stay in there or not. They do. There's also an easier way to get those to stay in. If you're having a hard time doing it that way, you can always take one of the screws and put the nut on there, maybe like a half a turn. See if we can do this gracefully without dropping it. Put that in like a half a turn. Go ahead and put it in and pull down on it. And then that'll also seat it down into the little area there. And you can take it back out. So again, let's take note of the orientation. The longer slot goes up, and we're going to hold these on with 2 screws. Go ahead and screw them in. You can get them fairly tight. It is a nylock, but you don't want to strip it out of the little hex holes in there. So put it on until it touches, give it an extra half quarter turn, just like so. And we're going to go ahead and repeat that process on the other side. So we're going to want to set our nuts into the little holes in here. Sometimes you can get them with a screwdriver, other times you can't. If you didn't see what I did there, I dropped this down in, put it on the end of my nut driver, like so, and dropped it down in there. There's several different ways to get them in there. Make sure that the taller portions go to the top. And screw it in. Go ahead and get out all your pieces and parts and repeat the same process on the rear axle. And once we're done with that, we'll come on back and we'll start in on direction number 7. On to step number 7. We're going to build some shocks now. One thing that I am going to warn you about is there are several bad part numbers in the manual here, and we're going to go over the different parts that it should say. The tree numbers are right, it's just that it's referring to the wrong part number on the sheet. So we'll show you what parts to use and where they're located. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and build the bottom caps which hold the seals, and we're going to build 4 of these. We're going to build one on camera, and you can build the other off camera, and then once we're done with those steps, we're going to go ahead and bleed them, fill them up with fluid. So let's start by building the bottom caps. The first part is going to be 80035, part number 1, which is this little bottom cap right here. And you can see it. It's got little threads on it. And that's what it looks like. This is the first part that we're going to use. Let me adjust some light here. There we go. Hopefully you can see a little better now. Woo! And that's the part we're going to start off with. There's a hex on the bottom. That's what we're going to call the bottom, and this is what we're going to call the top, which is the inside. And there's a hole through the center for the shaft. So what we're going to do is we're going to find 2 of the AXA 1202s, which are these little silicone O-rings. And we're going to use 2 of those. You're going to want to lubricate them. There's a couple things that you can use. You can use some of the shock oil that came with the kit. We like to use a product that is specially made for just this, and it's called Green Slime, and it's put out by Team Associated. You can see it there. It's called Green Slime. I've had this little thing for years, and you just don't really use a whole lot, and it lasts for a long time. And I've put a little dab of it down here on the table. The other thing that we're going to use is AXA 1184, which is another silicone gasket, but it is a bit larger. And you can see it there. We're going to take some green slime or some shock fluid, and we're going to lubricate these and grease them up. It helps the shafts slide through them. It helps them seat into the bottom of the cap better, and it also will keep them from tearing as we're building. So we're going to go ahead and lubricate those up, all 3 of them. Let's start by taking the larger O-ring, and we're going to, you see this groove right here. Come on. Got to get the camera to focus here. There we go. See this little groove right here? Right where my thumbnail is? we're going to lay that O-ring down inside that groove. And you want to be careful doing this that you don't tear it. But we're going to stretch it over the threads and gently roll it down until it seats down inside that groove. It's kind of hard to see that looking at the directions, but that's how it goes on. You're going to want to make sure that it's not torn or curled or twisted, and it should just lay right in there. Now we're going to take one of our silicone O-rings and we're going to put it down as best we can. Just stick it into the top portion there. Don't worry about seating it all the way down at this point. Just get it in there so it's straight and it's not cocked off.